Here we're going to answer some questions that every consumer should ask before choosing an auto body shop, and there's a specific reason. We'll explain why. Coming back on Nightside.
It's Nightside with Dan Rea.
My guest is Brian Bernard. He's with the Massachusetts Auto Body Association, and he has 10 questions that every consumer should ask before choosing an auto body shop. For me, there's only one auto body shop, McKenzie Brothers in Brighton, by the way. Just on a personal note, Brian, how are you tonight?
Doing very well, thanks, Dan. How about you?
I'm doing great. I don't know if you know John McKenzie or not, but they've been around a long time, and they do such a great job.
Terrific.
You are concerned about people who get involved in a car accident, whether it's their fault or not. And because there are so many electronics in cars, not only, it sounds to me from what I read, you're concerned that the auto body shops do a good job, on any dents that they have on the exterior of the car, but they also have to make sure that the electronic systems are not adversely impacted by an accident. And if they are, they have to be readjusted.
That's exactly right. It's analogous to a doctor. A doctor doesn't treat a portion of the patient. You have to treat the whole patient. And so in our world, the car becomes our patient. So there's the cosmetic things that everybody can see, but there's an awful lot more that you can't see behind the scenes. So there's oftentimes hidden damage or structural damage, things that aren't visible to the eye, especially the untrained eye. But when it comes to these electronics that are in these cars, every car that's being sold on the lot now is loaded with electronics. Sensors in the front that will stop our car automatically when it senses we're coming up on an object in the road or another vehicle. There's side parking sensors. Cars can park themselves. They can parallel park and save us from all that embarrassment of doing it in front of family members. These cars, when you're backing up, they'll apply the brakes automatically, so you make sure you don't hit your garage. So if all the sensors and sonars and parking devices that are in these cars, if they're not calibrated and aimed to make sure that they're working and functioning properly, that's now putting the driver and the motoring public here in the Commonwealth at risk. And this is really just an outreach. We want to make sure that consumers are aware that there's much more than meets the eye when it comes to repairing their car.
I know that there's a lot of times when there's a kind of a struggle between the companies that you represent, the individual auto body companies and businesses, and the major car repairs. And I know that there's oftentimes a struggle for the body shops to get access to a lot of the information of the big manufacturers. Has a lot of that stuff been settled out, so that when you take your car to an auto body shop and maybe save a little bit of money than what you would save if you continue to bring it back to the major manufacturer? Do you guys have at this point all the information that you need to do this very technical work?
Yeah, so that's kind of referencing that Right to Repair Act, and
Absolutely.
We do have all of the access to the information we need. Now, it comes at a cost. We have to pay for subscriptions to access that information. And in some cases, like with Subaru, I get it directly from the Subaru STI site. I get it from the Nissan site for Nissans. I get it from another company called All Data that collects all of these repair procedures. And you can basically get a subscription, you get access to these, and then it's time to do the research. So we have to perform research on every single car that we are repairing. We want to make sure that we're looking for the things that aren't obvious and make sure that we're doing the diagnostic scans and understanding what the car truly needs. And you can't put that stuff aside. It has to be part of the mainstay of your business.
Yeah, and this is obviously a much more complicated situation than it was in the old days when you had an accident and they just had to fix the fender or the bumper or something like that.
Exactly.
Does your organization, the Massachusetts Auto Body Association, people have a problem with their car, they get into an accident, I'm in great shape because I know been to this shop for years. Mackenzie's in Brighton, but other people who are new to the neighborhood or new to the area are looking around. How can they figure out if the person who's hanging a sign out, auto body repairs, is a member of your organization or someone that you can vouch for?
Sure. So members of our organization, they're going to have a certificate hanging inside their lobby. And these are people that are committed to advancing the auto body repair practice as well as advocating for customers and consumers here in the motoring public. So that's one way. But there's a bunch of things that people can do. You have to turn over a few rocks to really find a really good repairer, because there's a lot of options out there. There's about 1,000 repair shops that are actually in the business of collision repair here in Massachusetts, and so there's a lot to pick from. Every town's going to have one or two shops in it,
sure,
or
so
more.
Does your organization have information for drivers when they do get into a collision? Is there a website? I think it's massautobody.org, but is there a number that they can call and say, "Hey, I live in this town"? Is there a repair shop that you recommend?
So, from a recommendation standpoint, we have our members are listed in a directory at that massautobody.org website for us.
Good. Okay.
So that's one place to go. But you can check out reviews, Google reviews or Yelp reviews. That's not a bad first option. And obviously a lot of folks ask their neighbors, who have you repaired or had your car repaired by, to get those recommendations. But that's also why we put together this kind of the 10 questions that every consumer should ask before choosing an auto body shop. If you're new to the area, you don't know the lay of the land.
And we don't have time to go through them, but basically one of them is you're making sure that they are doing this according to what's called OME manufacturer procedures. So you got to make sure that they have all the information that's available, right?
That's right. So are the body shops pulling the manufacturer's repair specification to repair it right? And that's something they either have access to this information and use it, or they don't.
Yeah. And you folks fought long and hard to get that, so make sure that if you are going to go to an auto body repair shop, that they are associated with Massachusetts Auto Body Association. And again, the website is massautobody.org. Brian, I appreciate your time tonight. A lot of good information for people out there. And unfortunately, more people can get into accidents. Sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes it is.
That's right.
But whether it's your fault or not, you got to get things squared away. And it's more important than just the exterior. You got to make sure that all of the electronics work as well. Thanks very much, Brian. I appreciate the time you gave us tonight.
Thank you, Dan.